Hey everybody, welcome to Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. This is episode number 244 of our YouTube channel and podcast, and I cannot be more excited to continue sharing with you guys personal finance topics that I think could be useful for you in your long-term financial journey. Today, we are going to be talking about Social Security, and specifically, we are going to be talking about the perceptions that the public has about Social Security, and then exactly how it should factor in to your retirement planning. And this is a topic of much contention, and a bunch of people want you to think a bunch of different things. And I'm going to pull back the curtain on what's actually true when it comes to Social Security and to what you can expect as you get nearer to retirement when it comes to your Social Security benefits. So stick around for all that and more in today's episode. But before we get started though, if you could go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video, leave me any feedback in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to respond to anything you leave down there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, be sure to subscribe and leave me a review on either one of those platforms. Follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan, and that's really good supplemental materials to all the things that I'm putting out in these long form episodes on YouTube and the podcast every single day. And then if you need somebody to help you to build a financial plan and keep you accountable to that plan over the long term, then I can do that. Just DM me on any of the major social media sites and tell me that you are interested in financial coaching sessions. And you and I can begin working together, creating financial goals that are specific to you and your family's needs. And then we can push towards meeting those goals. And then ultimately, I can help push you towards long-term financial freedom, which is what I hope for every single individual who watches or listens to this show on a daily basis. So how many of you have heard this statement, right? Social Security is going to run out before you receive any benefits, or Social Security is going to go bankrupt, right? We have all heard these things if we have talked about Social Security at all or looked into Social Security one bit. Something that you will continuously find is that people think that Social Security is going to go bankrupt, and more so really now than ever before. The Social Security Administration is something that has been around now for nearly 100 years, and more than ever, people think that it may be going away. And so let's just kind of dig into this idea and this thought that people may have and see if it's warranted. Okay, according to a survey from financial services company Nationwide, 71% of adults felt that Social Security will run out in their lifetime. Right? Fears about benefits programs were highest among Gen Xers, right, at 83%, and millennials was 77%, while just 61% of baby boomers agreed. Now, this is quite obvious because the baby boomers are those who, many of which are already taking their Social Security, so they don't believe that Social Security is going to run out in their lifetimes as much as others may believe so, right? And then the Gen Xers, right? The Gen Xers, they are moving ever closer to taking their Social Security, and they're the ones who have the most conviction about it not lasting their entire lifetime. And then us millennials, we also don't believe it. What's more, 47% of millennials say that they believe that they will not get a dime of Social Security benefits that they have earned. Right? Many Americans, 59%, say that they are more pessimistic now about the program running out of funding following the onset of the pandemic. Meanwhile, 19% say COVID-19 has prompted them to reconsider their plans for claiming benefits, with 11% planning to delay filing and 9% planning to claim earlier. Right, the trust funds on which Social Security relies to pay the benefits have been running low. The last official projection by the SSA, the Social Security Administration, indicated that those funds could run out in 2035, at which point 79% of promised benefits would be payable. Even so, fears that the program will run dry and benefit checks will stop are unfounded, many say. Right? Many say that people hear the words insolvent or bankruptcy and they automatically assume that the program is just going to go away or it's just going to disappear. It's not going to exist. In reality, Social Security has been around for well over 80 years, and it has more support than just about any other governmental program. And that, I believe, is 100% true, right? If you go on both sides of the aisle in Washington and you ask, what are things that are just, non-starters, right? You can't even ask about getting rid of. And many are going to say Social Security and Medicare, right? Many are not going to want to jump off of that because that gets them the older votes, right? Older individuals who are taking Social Security who are qualified for Medicare, right? They don't want their benefits being cut or taken away. So many politicians are not going to be willing to give in on that particular area of their agenda. Okay, while it is likely that there will be a fix, right, for Social Security in some way, shape, or form, Congress is taking a long time to act. That can create uncertainty for Americans who are trying to plan their retirement, which is what I want to help you with, right? I'm interested in this because I'm interested in helping you plan for your retirement. I want you to know what you can expect in retirement, and Social Security is a big question mark. Now, the way that I feel about this is the way that probably a lot of the millennials do, right? Yes, Social Security may be something that I receive one day, but I don't expect it to last my entire lifetime, nor do I expect to receive all the benefits that I'm promised. Okay, so it's something that, yes, it's going to be around, but isn't going to be around to the point where it makes a huge difference in my retirement life. And specifically in my retirement life, I don't think that it'll make a huge difference, but maybe it'll make a huge difference in your retirement life. So I kind of did a little research. I looked into exactly how much the average Social Security check is. And so I looked as far as January of 2021 goes. Okay, the average Social Security benefit that was expected to be paid was $1,543 a month. $1,543 is not a lot of money. Okay, you multiply that out by 12, that is $18,516 over the course of a year. Good luck trying to live on $18,516 over the course of a year. Okay, so obviously Social Security is not something that is meant to be lived on. Okay, but even if you receive Social Security and you're trying to live past your Social Security benefit, okay, how much money are you going to need in order to do so? So I just did a modest income, right? If you made $65,000 over the course of a year, okay, and that's what you wanted to make in retirement as well. All right, so you take $65,000, you take away that $18,516, which is going to be your Social Security payments, and then you see how much is left, and that's $46,484. Okay, which doesn't seem like an unreasonable amount of money to have to create in retirement on an annual basis. And I would agree, right? Creating that much income on an annual basis in retirement shouldn't be too crazy. Okay, but let's just say if you are trying to abide by the 4% rule, right? We've talked about withdrawal rates and why the 4% rule may not be the best rule for you. But let's say you're trying to abide by the 4% rule of withdrawals, and you have that $46,484 that you need to cover on an annual basis, right? And you don't want the value of your nest egg to be declining year over year over year, meaning you don't want to eat into the principal amount of your nest egg. Well, if you just want to make income off of some nest egg and that income be equal to $46,484, then you would have to make 4% annually on $1,162,100 in order to get the money that you need apart from Social Security. Right? So what did I just tell you? I just told you that to create $46,484 annually, you have to have over $1.1 million if you are abiding by the 4% withdrawal rate. Now, do I believe that that is the best thing for all people? No, I don't. And do I think that it's necessary that you only be taking 4% off your account? No, I don't. Right? But what this means is you have to have substantial money saved. Right? You have to have substantial money laying around that is growing for you and that is going to continue to grow for you in your retirement, apart from your Social Security benefits, even in some of the most modest of situations, right? $65,000 a year is not a ton of money. It's not a ton of money now, and it will continue to be worth less and less over time. Right? As inflation eats away at the value of your money, $65,000 is not going to be what it is today. And so in the future, we may look at, $100,000 the way that we look at $65,000 today. And that day will come, because there was a day not too long ago where $65,000 was a lot more than it is today. What's my point? My point is that Social Security is not going to cut it. Right? Social Security is not going to do what you need it to do. And I need you to hear me when I say that whether you believe in it or not, right? Whether you believe that you're going to get all your benefits or not, or whether you believe that you're going to get a dime of Social Security benefits or not, that Social Security is not going to play a huge part in your retirement. And if it is, that means that you're not making much money in retirement, right? That means that you didn't do much planning otherwise. Okay, Social Security should not play a large part of your retirement picture. Now, can it play a part, right? And especially if you're somebody who has gotten started late in your financial life and you're trying to just put the pieces back together and just have some semblance of a good retirement, could Social Security play a part in whether or not you live a good retirement life? Of course it could, right? But I don't want you to have to rely on Social Security, right? I don't want you to have to rely on something that is outside of your control. Now, you may say, well, Dylan, the stock market is outside of my control, and you tell us all the time to trust the stock market, rely on the stock market, invest in the stock market. Well, yes, but guess what? You can bet on and be 100% right when it comes to the stock market. Over the long term, you're going to make positive rates of return, and it is going to be heavily reliant on the amount of money that you put away, right? So there is some agency that you actually have when it comes to investing in the stock market. It's not just putting money in and blindly thinking that it may go up or go down. No, the historical rates of return have proven that you can expect over the long term positive rates of return, and not just positive rates of return, very good positive rates of return of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12%. Depending on the time periods that you're looking over, okay? And we've talked about that this week already. But I just want you to understand that the fact that we can trust the stock market doesn't mean that we can trust Social Security in an equal way, because Social Security is heavily predicated on Congress, on government, and government's ability to make decisions for you. And anytime, we've talked about this many, many times, anytime you rely on the government to make decisions for you, anytime that you rely on the government to make good decisions for your personal financial life, you are likely going to be frustrated. You're likely going to be angry at the fact that they didn't make the exact decision that you wanted them to make, right? But we can't rely on them, or anybody else for that matter, to make our financial decisions for us. We have to be better. We have to make moves for ourselves. We have to do things in our financial life that's going to get us to where we want to go, in spite of the fact that the government has programs there that are meant to help us, right? And that's what I want you to do when it comes to Social Security, right? I want you to have Social Security sitting there in case you need it, or as extra income, or whatever you want it to be. But I don't want you to rely on it for a second. Okay, I want you to have your own investments. I want you to have money that is going to be adequate for you to take money off of, right? To grow that nest egg, and then take some interest off of that nest egg every single year, and still have your principal amount, and keep growing it and growing it and growing it over time, and never run dry on the amount of money that you need for retirement. That's what I hope for you. And I know that's not a reality for everyone. And I know that's, for people who are leading up to retirement and who are already trying to make these decisions on Social Security, they may be looking and going, well, I don't have the big nest egg that you're talking about. I don't have $1.1 million. I don't have money setting aside that I'll be able to just grow at some rate and never touch the principal. I don't have that, right? I need Social Security, right? What should I do? Well, let me just give you some pointers real quick as the things that you should do when Social Security is a big part of your life. First and foremost, right, you need to make sure that if you can continue working and continue investing and continue pushing towards having some retirement that you have more control over, that you should continue doing so. Right? I'm not saying that you should work until you're 80. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what I am suggesting is that if you are not in a place where you have money to retire on, and you're not in a place where you actually have built some nest egg for yourself that you can live off of, and you have some time, right? Let's say you're in your late 50s or something like that, or maybe even your early 60s, right? You could work for the next 10, 15 years and build something nice for yourself, right? You could build some nice nest egg for yourself to where you're not so reliant on Social Security. And the last thing that I want you to do is to take a pay cut just to have Social Security, right? I don't want you to be in a place where you're looking around and going, okay, well, me and my spouse, we're just going to get our Social Security checks, and that's $18,516 a year times 2, right? So that being $37,032 a year, That's just what our income's going to be, and we have to bring our lifestyle down in order to live on that income. That's not what I want for you guys, and that's not what you should want for yourself either, right? You should want to be able to do way better than Social Security. And even if it's, creating some income that's just a little bit above Social Security to live a more comfortable retirement life, then that's fine as well. But I think what you need to be doing is you need to be focusing on your own ability to build wealth, your own ability to build up a nest egg, your own ability to use your income and leverage it into creating something good for yourself, and not just sitting around and relying on Social Security if you do not have to. Now, if you're somebody who has already chosen to take your Social Security and you're like, man, I'm already taking it, I'm already living this lifestyle where, Social Security is helping me get by, I understand that, right? But make sure that you know the Social Security rules and what amount of money you can make. And I would still be working. I would still be trying to build something up for yourself and not be so reliant on Social Security, because I don't want you living in poverty. Social Security is poverty for many people at this point, right? $18,000 a year, 18.5, whatever, is not a lot of money, right? And that's not an amount of money that I want anybody trying to live off of on an annual basis. Okay, you deserve better, right? But the only way you deserve better is if you did better for yourself. And that's what I'm here for in this show, is I'm trying to tell you to take some power into your own hands. Take things into your own hands and create something for yourself. Now, let's say you're in a position where you're like, man, I'm retiring. I can't really work, right? I can't really work a lot more. I'm kind of burnt on working, or I'm disabled, or whatever it may be, right? If you're disabled, you can be getting a whole nother set of benefits from Social Security. So whether or not you believe those will be around, that's a whole different conversation. But let's say you're receiving benefits from Social Security one way or another, and you're like, I just don't know what to do otherwise. Well, there are always things that you can do to create some income. You can always do things to create some income apart from Social Security, but the problem is that a lot of people just get caught up into this world of, okay, well, I'm just going to rely on this check that's coming. And that is a dangerous mindset to have. Okay, if you know that a check is coming and that's all that you're going to rely on, and a bunch of people are still relying on it, right? A bunch of people still think that Social Security is going to be a sufficient amount of money to sustain them in retirement, right? People in their 40s are thinking that, hey, I'm going to get to retirement, I'm going to have Social Security, everything's going to be good. Right? Well, they don't know what Social Security is, and they don't know what these benefits actually look like, right? Because like we said, honestly, these benefits don't look like much, right? They don't look like much of anything. And that is problematic for all of us. Now, there's also this really big push when it comes to Social Security for taking your benefits later, right? Because you'll receive greater benefits. And I know that this is the case, right? You can start taking benefits at age 62. And for most people now, retirement age, full retirement age via Social Security is 67 years old, or really close to 67 years old, right? And then that's your full retirement benefit. And then above that full retirement benefit, you can get an extra 8% every year that you hold out from there to 70. And then past 70, it is the same amount, right? So people say, oh, we'll just hold out longer and you'll receive a higher Social Security check. Well, I hope that you don't even have to do that, right? I hope that you don't have to hold out longer to get a higher check. Not to mention, right, if you're somebody who needs the money anyway, right, it's going to be more valuable to you to take money in the short term, right? In the short term, you can take money, because think about how long you would be deferring your Social Security just to get to full retirement age. That's a 5-year period, right? That's 60 months of this, $1,543 a month. And so if you take that and multiply that out by 60, right, that is $92,580. Okay, how long would it take with the increase in Social Security, right, the increase in the amount of money that you could receive to make up $92,580? It would likely take some time. Okay, so I think you should really think it through before you look into, extending your Social Security benefit, not taking it early, right? Because the earlier that you take it, the more money that's actually going to be in your pocket. Now, obviously, there's a break-even point there, right? And the larger amount will win out if you live past a certain age. But the honest truth of it all is that we don't know how long we're going to live, right? We don't know how long we're going to be around in order to receive our Social Security benefits, okay? And so we have to keep this in mind and understand that taking it early may be better for somebody than taking it late. Now, if you have the ability to hold out, right? If you have the ability to not take that income and you can keep working, right? Especially if you think you're going to be cash strapped in retirement, right? And you want to keep working and keep pushing towards age 70, then by all means, don't take your Social Security benefits early and wait until later to take them. And if you wait until later to take them, then you will have more to live on than the average $1,543 benefit. Okay, and you will have more money to live on, and you will have to require less of yourself, right? This is something that I was talking about earlier when I'm saying, hey, individuals who are leading up to retirement, what can you do, right? How can you get to a place where you'll actually have some money for yourself, right? Well, don't take Social Security so early. Actually push that back a little bit and keep working, get to a point where you can take your full Social Security benefit. And even if you work past that, and you work to the point where you're getting the extra 8% annually past that, so you get to age 70 and you have over 24% above what your age 67 retirement benefit was going to be, right? Then if you keep working past that, then you can invest that money and take that money and use it for actually building up a nest egg for yourself and having emergency savings and having money set aside so that you're not just so reliant on these government checks, right? So if you can wait longer, then by all means do so, especially if you are going to be reliant on Social Security checks. If you're not going to be reliant on Social Security checks, right? If you've built a nest egg for yourself, then you should take Social Security as early as possible, right? Because that'll just be money in your pocket that you can do what you want to do with that money. So whenever you choose to retire, just go ahead and take Social Security as well, right? As early as 62 or, as late as 70, okay? So what am I trying to say here? What am I ultimately getting to when it comes to Social Security and your benefits? Take life into your own hands, okay? Don't just rely on the government to pay you, and don't rely on the fact that the government is going to have that money there for you. Now, is the government likely to figure something out and have that amount of money there for you? Sure, right? I would suggest that it's very likely that Social Security or some form of Social Security will be around for a long time to come. And that's why a lot of people have gotten together and they think that the government should be paying us stimulus checks of $2,000 every single month from here into infinity, right? Because they think that the government should do more for people, right? So if they think that that's the case, then Social Security is not likely to go anywhere. Now, are they going to have to figure out how the heck they're going to fund it? Of course, they're going to have to figure that out. And are they going to have to figure out what exactly those benefits are going to look like? Of course, they're going to have to figure that out, right? But again, these are things that are outside of your control. So you need to take things that are within your control, such as your own savings rate, right? Such as your own spending problems that you may have, right? If you have spending problems, then you're not going to be able to save and invest money for yourself, and you're likely going to be more reliant on any income that the government gives you, right? So your own spending problems can be a big issue. The debt that you're in, right? If you have a whole lot of debt, and you're at a point where you think that, maybe I'm going to be really reliant on Social Security, right? Well, you notice that that's not much money. Okay. And the more debt that you have, the more strain you are going to be putting on your cash flow. So getting out of debt, being less reliant on debt or not reliant on debt at all in your financial life is going to go a long way towards you being able to live some sustainable financial life in retirement. And I want you to be able to live that sustainable financial life. I want you to be able to live a thriving financial life. But at minimum, I want you to have some form of financial freedom. I say this all the time at the intro and the outro of the show, is that I want you to attain some level of financial freedom. And for some people, that level of financial freedom is just being out of debt and having money in savings and then being able to live with their Social Security check and maybe a little bit of money out of their own nest egg, maybe nothing significant. Maybe that is financial freedom for a lot of people. And if that's financial freedom for you, then no shame, but that's that's okay. You just have to do a lot of work, and you have to understand that if anything were to ever happen to your Social Security benefits, then you may be in trouble, right? So you need to take some things into your own hands. You need to take your retirement into your own hands. Now, I don't want to scare anybody who's in retirement and is already taking their Social Security benefits, which again, I believe that it will likely be around in some way, shape, or form. Okay, but I just don't want you to get so comfortable with these benefits and thinking that these benefits are going to be there forever. And you've been receiving a check for 15 years from Social Security. Why wouldn't I receive a check now? Well, maybe because Washington doesn't have it together in the way that you may think it does. And I personally don't know if they have it together very well ever, right? But I think that if you are relying on your own ability to save and invest, if you are relying on something that has gone up in value over time, like the stock market, to build your nest egg, that you're not going to be very disappointed, right? But you look at something like Social Security that has a negative rate of return based on the amount of money that you've put into it over time, right? That is a huge problem. It's a huge problem that you put money away into it, and you put money away into it, and you have no choice to opt out, right? You can't opt out of putting money in Social Security if you work a normal job, right? So you can't opt out of it, and yet you are losing money on the deal, right? On average, there's a negative rate of return on your Social Security benefits. Whereas if you just took that money and invested it in your own investments, in your own nest egg into the stock market, then you could make a lot of money, and you could have a lot more money setting aside for yourself. I think you should be able to opt out of Social Security, but the fact that you are not able to at this point, and it probably is not going to be likely that you'll be able to any time in the future, because they need to keep this thing funded, and the way they're keeping it funded is by everybody putting money into it, right? So the fact that you can't opt out means that you can't take more control of your money, right? But you need to take as much control of your financial situation as you can, okay? And you need to understand that even if it's not around, okay, your financial life, your retirement life is in your hands. Even if it is around, your financial life is in your hands, and you can do a lot to make your financial life more comfortable, to make your retirement more comfortable. You just have to be very intentional, and you have to understand where your money is coming from and where your money is going. And understand that if one of those sources of where your money is coming from dries up, like Social Security, right, then you're going to have to figure something else out. Okay, so you have to be able to be flexible and understand that, money is finite, right? And you may not think that money is finite because, they're just printing money in Washington all the time or adding zeros to the end of the ledger, right? But money is finite when it comes to the federal budget, and when it comes to Washington's ability to put money into a system that is going to be strained for cash in the future, especially as more and more baby boomers get to the point where they are taking these benefits, okay? And so we have to be ready to make moves on our own, to do things on our own. And hopefully for you, what I hope, right, is that you get to retirement, especially if you're not there yet, okay, or if you have some time. My hope for you is that you get to retirement, you can live off of a really, really nice nest egg of a few $1 million, creating income for you and not having to dig into the principal. And then that Social Security benefit that you may receive can just be icing on the cake. You can give it, you can, put it in your savings, you can spend it on, doing extravagant things that you want to do because you can. Okay, but I understand that that's not the situation for many, not the situation for most. Okay, so those most and those many need to take the things that they can control and control them, like their spending, like their debt, like where their income is coming from otherwise, right? They need to make sure that they have some other revenue streams in their life so that Social Security doesn't just dominate everything that they're doing, and they just continue to look for Washington for more and more help. So hopefully this helps to inform you a little bit about Social Security and what I think and how I think that you should navigate the waters. And if you have any more questions, just feel free to DM me at MNO with Dylan on any of the major social media sites. And I'll be sure to respond to anything that you send me and any questions that you may have about your own particular Social Security situation. And you and I can begin working together in financial coaching sessions if you want to, in getting your life together financially, to getting everything that you need to get together in order to build a good nest egg for yourself and to build a strong financial life, strong financial foundation in order to win financially over the long term. That's what I want for every single person who's watching this show on a day-to-day basis: financial freedom and winning with their finances over the long term. So if you could go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video, leave me any feedback in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to respond to anything you leave down there. So tune in tomorrow as I continue talking about personal finance topics that I think can be useful for you in your long-term financial journey. So thanks for tuning into this episode of Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. God bless.